Students, so today we are going to talk about multiplying polynomials, and with multiplying them we're going to have a couple different ways we're going to do it, but really what we're going to be doing is using our rules of exponents from previous lessons. So first of all, let's look at just multiplying two monomials together. Now we've done these. We did these the last couple days, so let's just go ahead and take a look at them. So you can fill these out on your handout while I do them up here. So first we have 6y cubed times 3y to the fifth power. Now, what we want to do is we want to multiply the constants together. So in this case, that means we're going to multiply the 6 and the 3. So we get 6 times 3 is 18. And then we are going to multiply the variables together. And remember, when we're multiplying with the same base, we add the exponents. So here we have y cubed and y to the fifth. So when I multiply them together, we're going to get y to the 3 plus 5, or 8th power. Now, one of the things you remember also when you're doing these, if you want to, when you're multiplying monomials together, is that you could rearrange them so all of the like variables are next to each other. So that's what we're going to do with letter B here then, is I'm going to rewrite this so all the like variables are next to each other. So I have 3 times 9. So I'm going to rewrite this so I have 3 times 9. So they're next to each other. And then I'm going to put the m's next to each other. We have an m and an m squared. And I'm going to do the same thing with the n's. So if it helps you when you're multiplying the monomials together to do this, go ahead and do that. So 3 times 9 is 27. M times m squared, we add the exponents. So we have 1 plus 2 gives us m to the third. And the same thing here, n squared times n to the first. We add the exponents and we get n to the third also. So when you're multiplying monomials together, we multiply the constants together. Then we multiply the like variables together, and we use the rule of exponents and add those powers together. So let's look at multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. Now we're going to use the distributive property for this. And what the distributive property says is that we're going to multiply anything on the outside of the parentheses times everything on the inside. So with this example here, 4 times the quantity 3x squared plus 4x minus 8. We are going to multiply 4 times 3x squared, then we're going to multiply 4 times 4x, then we're going to multiply 4 times negative 8. So really what we are doing is we are going to do 4 times 3x squared plus 4 times 4x plus 4 times negative 8. So we're taking that 4 that's on the outside of the parentheses and multiplying it by each individual part on the inside of the parentheses. So 4 times 3 is 12, and x squared. 4 times 4 is 16, x. And 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. So that is our answer right there. So we just take what's on the outside of the parentheses, multiply it by everything on the inside of the parentheses. Right? And so when we have a situation where we have like bases and we're doing this, then we want to add the exponents just like we did when we were multiplying the monomials. So I'm going to multiply 6p times 2p, or 6p squared times 2p. So we do 6 times 2, we get 12. I have p times p, so that gives me p squared, because we have those are both to the first power. And I have a q here. There's only one q, so I just keep it as q to the first power. Now we're going to multiply that by the next term. So we multiply 6pq times negative q. So this is like there's a 1 here. So we have 6 times negative 1 gives us negative 6 for our constant, There's only the p here. This p here is the only p I have, so we have p there. And I'm multiplying q times q, which will give me q squared. So when you're multiplying a monomial times a polynomial, we use the distributive property. So we multiply what's on the outside by each thing on the inside. So which means in this case, what I actually did was 6pq times 2q plus 6pq times negative q. Right? So we multiply what's on the outside times each individual thing on the inside. That's the distributive property. You've used this before. Now you're just using it again with a little bit more complicated variables and numbers that you're working with. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is look at multiplying a little bit tougher ones together. Binomials times binomials and binomials times trinomials, and work with them. Now there's two different ways that we're going to look at doing this. The first way we're going to look at doing this is using a table. And I know that most of you have done this method before when you were younger, just when multiplying two-digit numbers together. And so when we set it up to multiply using the table, it has the polynomials that you're multiplying must be in standard form. If they're not in standard form, this method doesn't work quite right for you. All right? So let's look at this one. We have s plus 4 times s minus 2. And so when we multiply them together, we're going to take the first one, s plus 4, and we're going to write it, the s here and the 4 there. So we're going to make a 2 by 2 table or a box, and we will take each term and they go along either the row or the column. So s and plus 4 are going to go here. So s will be the first row, 4 will be the second row, and then the other s and the negative 2 will be my column headings. Okay? So we have a column s and a column negative 2. And so what we're going to do now then is we are just going to multiply each row by each column. Okay? So I'm going to take, first of all, I'm going to multiply these two s's together. And so when I multiply them together, I get s squared. S times s is s squared. Okay? Then I'm going to multiply this s by this negative 2. So that gives me negative 2s. Then we will multiply the second row by each term, each column. So I get 4 times s gives me 4s, and 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So we multiply, we set it up first of all so it's in standard form, largest term to smallest, and then we label our columns and our rows according to the terms. So s plus 4, s and negative 2. Now when you look at this, what should happen is that your like terms should be on diagonals. Right? And so remember, when we have the like terms, those are the ones who have the same variable, same exponent. So my answer in this case is going to be, I've got s squared here, and then I've got this diagonal here with 4s here and negative 2s there, and so I'm going to put them together. 4s minus 2s gives me a positive 2s, and then the last thing I have is this corner here in my box, which is negative 8. So when I multiply s plus 4 times s minus 2, we get s squared plus 2s minus 8, and that's using the table method. So let's look at another one with the table method. And I'm actually going to show you two methods today. The table method is one, and then horizontal method is the other. And it doesn't matter to me which method you use. You just pick the one you like the best and use it. So here we have 2x minus 5 times the quantity negative 4x squared minus 10x plus 3. So once again, we want them in standard form. I have a binomial with two terms, so I'm going to put that as my rows, the 2x and the negative 5. And then we have a trinomial. We're going to put that as our column heading. So negative 4x squared, negative 10x, and 3. Now I know the table on your paper might be a little bit small, so if you need to make it bigger, then go ahead and do that. And so what we're going to do now then is we're going to multiply each row by each column. So we take 2x times negative 4x squared, we get negative 8x to the third power. Remember, when we're multiplying, same base, we keep that base and add the exponents. Then negative 2x times negative 10x, negative 20x squared. And 2x times 3 is 6x. All right, so we multiplied the first row. Now we're going to do the second row by each column. Negative 5 times negative 4x squared is 20x squared. Negative 5 times negative 10x, 50x. And negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. All right, so this table method, the nice thing about that is once again, is it lines up the like terms on a diagonal. So we start in the upper left-hand corner, and we have negative 8x cubed. That's going to be the first term of our answer. The next term in our answer then is going to be this diagonal here. I have a positive 20x squared and a negative 20x squared. Well, those are opposites. So when I add a positive 20 of something and negative 20 of something, I put them together, I get 0. So we have no x squared term. Then we look at the next diagonal. We have 50x plus 6x. So that gives us plus 56x. And then our last term down here by itself is the negative 15. So when you use the table method, make sure that it's in standard form. Put your rows and your columns, multiply each row by each column heading, and then your like terms will be on the diagonals to where you can put them together. Okay? So that's the method using the table method. Right? Now I'm going to show you the horizontal method. Horizontal method, both these methods produce the same answer, and so whichever method you want to use, it is up to you to use that one. Okay? So the next method we're going to do is what's called the horizontal method. Now, both of these methods are in your book. They're shown in your book, so you can look at the example there also if you need to look at further examples, or if you need to watch this video more, it'll be on Schoology, so you can get to access it. All right, so here we have letter C, x minus 4, that quantity squared. So the first thing we have to remember is this is equal to x minus 4 times x minus 4. And so we're going to use the distributive property twice when we do this horizontally. So what that means is then, is I'm going to make a little box here to help us out. So, okay, so we're going to use the distributive property twice, which means that we're going to multiply x times x minus 4, and we're going to multiply negative 4 times x minus 4. So when we use the distributive property in example 2, we just had one thing we're going to multiply by it. Now we're actually going to have 2. So I'm going to start out, first of all, basically I'm covering up that negative 4, so I'm going to distribute the x to both pieces there. So when I multiply x times x, I get x squared. And then I multiply x times negative 4, we get negative 4x. right? Then I'm going to cover that up, x up basically, and I'm going to distribute to negative 4. So we multiply negative 4 times x, we get negative 4x, and then negative 4 times negative 4, which gives us positive 16. So when I use the horizontal method, right, we are going to use the distributive property more than once. So basically we're covering up part of it and then multiplying. Covering up the other part, multiplying. So our final answer is x squared. We have two negative 4x's here, which gives us negative 8x, and plus 16. All right, so there's our answer, and that was multiplying these two binomials together. All right, so let's look at another one. One that's a little bit harder then, because we have three terms in the second part. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. All right, so we're going to start with, once again, we're going to cover up this minus 5 because we're going to multiply x times x squared plus 4x minus 6. Now, what I'm going to do this time is, when I set it up to combine the like terms, I'm actually going to do it vertically, so that like we did when we were adding and subtracting polynomials, we can have the like terms on top of each other. All right? So we multiply first. Multiply x times all three of these terms. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 4x plus 4x squared. Remember, we're multiplying with the same base, add the exponents. And then x times negative 6 is negative 6x. Then we're going to cover up the x and distribute the negative 5 to everything. And when I do this, though, I'm also going to put the like terms underneath each other. All right, so here I've got negative 5x squared. So I'm going to write this under the 4x squared term to help me when I'm adding them. And I'm going to multiply negative 5 times 4x, which gives us negative 20x. All right, once again, lining up those like terms to make it easier to add. And then negative 5 times negative 6 plus 30. So when I put them together, I have x cubed, bring that down. 4x squared minus 5x squared is negative x squared. Negative 6x minus 20x is negative 26x. And then my plus 30. So we've got multiplying a monomial. Using the distributive property to multiply a monomial times a polynomial. Then we have the table method of multiplying polynomials together. Okay? And we can use with the table method, if it's a 2 by 2, a binomial by binomial, then we have a 2 by 2 box. If it's a 2 by 3, then we have a table then that is 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay? And you can multiply them that way. Or you can use the horizontal method to do it. Whichever method you prefer is the one that you should use. And it is completely up to you. All right, so there's the examples for multiplying polynomials. And your homework then for this lesson is here on page 487, some more practice problems from adding and subtracting, and on page 497, numbers 1 through 25. I hope you have a great weekend.